You're listening to Season 3 of the Fairways People podcast, where we share inspiring stories, meaningful conversations, and the voices behind our charity. Each episode offers a closer look at the people and passion that drive us. Hosted by Fairways Managing Director Gareth Webb.
Hello and welcome to another Fairways People podcast. And today we have the one and only Jodie Goodchild. Welcome, Jodie. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
I appreciate your time. I know how busy you are. So, I call you the LinkedIn queen, but you're about, well, I guess marketing, personal branding. That's what you're known for. I love that
Yeah,
slogan behind you.
Yeah, behind me.
So what I'll do, let me ask you to introduce yourself to our listeners.
Yeah,
Over to you.
sure. Yeah, so my name's Jodie Goodchild, and I founded the company Known For, which is personal business branding. And like you say, I think most people know me for LinkedIn, but actually what I do is really evolved massively over the last 12 months. And I'm sure we'll go into that in more detail. But essentially what I do is help businesses and charities get known for what it is they do so that customers or sponsors find them so they don't have to spend as much money on marketing.
Brilliant. And I know, like I said, you started out a lot with LinkedIn, but you've branched off more, and you do a lot more than that. But I think we first met, as I could be, doing a sea dip. Actually, I think that's how we met on the beach.
No, we met
Um,
in the gym.
yes, sorry, yeah, the gym, yes.
Yeah, we met in the village gym, and we kind of looked at each other as if to say, "Are you Gareth and are you Jodie?" And then we chatted for a little bit in the gym, and then we
That's
instantly
right.
just clicked, didn't we? Because we were
Yes,
talking about
yes.
our backgrounds and everything. And then literally that same week, I think we seed it probably about a year ago. Actually, I reckon it
Yeah, it
was.
is. Yeah. Wow, yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah, I forgot about that, the gym. Yeah, absolutely. So, and also you've been in to Fairways and you've delivered some training to our managers, which was really good. And I'm a big fan of LinkedIn and you've supported me a lot. But what I normally do with a lot of guests is I like to go back and ask them sort of, do you mind to just tell us a little bit about your childhood and your background and where you grew up?
Yeah. So I think, first of all, because I run a successful business, I think people make an assumption about your background when you do that. My personal experience, and people are quite shocked actually when I tell them I grew up in Lee Park. I was born in Westlea, no, in Emsworth. My mum was a single mum, moved to Westlea and met my stepdad, and then we moved to Lee Park. So I literally grew up and I lived in Lee Park till I was 19. So I had a tough childhood. I think it's fair to say. I had both parents were alcoholics, which had its own challenges, and that brought quite a lot of challenges to the table for me growing up. And then thrown into the mix of that, of course, I was also now obviously I'm an out and proud gay woman, but I had no idea about that back then. So actually, my childhood was really difficult for me because I was going through all the normal things that we go through anyway in childhood. Plus, it was a pretty challenging time kind of growing up in the environment that I was growing up in. And then to add into that, confused about kind of, there was no education back then about sexuality or anything like that. So I was going through all of that. So actually, my childhood and memories of growing up are actually pretty tough ones to go through because I was bullied at school as well because I didn't fit in. I looked different because I dressed like a tomboy and people didn't like that, and I'd get called names and all sorts. So actually, childhood for me and school was like, I absolutely hated it. I went to Staunton Park community school. Nothing against Staunton Park. There was the whole park community and Staunton Park
Yeah.
rivalry. I don't know, what
Yeah.
camp were you in? Did you go?
Do
Were you Lee Park?
I grew I grew up there, but when we were very young, about 3 or 4, we sort of moved out. But I still had family there. My nan lived in Finchdene Close, and so we'd go back there. But I didn't actually go to school there, so I wasn't in them rival
Oh,
camps.
you
But I
weren't in
know
a
of them.
rival. Yeah, but yeah, so childhood was quite tough, and it's taken me kind of pretty much to the last couple of years to be able to embrace it a bit more and kind of talk about it without getting really sad, because I don't think I would be who I am today if I hadn't have gone through what I went through when I grew up to get here. But yeah, people don't normally assume that. They kind of think that, I think people
Yeah.
think that to be successful, you have to come from real high educated background and all sorts, but actually so many people that I know have come from really humble, at one point Lee Park was the largest council estate in the UK or Europe or something, wasn't it?
Europe, I think. Yeah.
It was a really
Yeah.
difficult, tell you what, it was
Yeah.
tough being a kid in
Yeah.
Lee Park. That's for sure. So yeah, that's a little bit about my childhood.
Brilliant. Okay. And we've spoken before, and, you've got some lived experience, and, you've been through, a lot of challenges as you was younger. So you touched on a little bit. So did you felt bullied at school, but did you go on to do sort of like your GCSEs, college? What was your sort of education
My
pathway?
GCSEs, yeah, I really, so as an adult now, I've been diagnosed with ADHD, but I didn't know that when I was at school, and now it makes a lot of sense because I really struggled with learning, really struggled. So my GCSEs were an absolute disaster. Also, so I was struggling with learning, struggling with obviously what was going on inside of me, understanding who I was, my identity, and struggling with what was going on at home. The only two GCSEs that I got were in graphics and art because they were the only two lessons I actually enjoyed because they were creative and they were something I enjoyed doing, whereas the other lessons that I did I found really difficult. So when I left school, I went to South Downs College, and I did art and design. First of all, I think I did an MVQ and then I did a BTEC, I think that's what it was called. And I redid my maths and English when I was at college as well. And I actually felt like college was what school should have been like, and maybe what school was like for other people, because I kind of found some friends and started to kind of actually enjoy socializing. Whereas my experience at school was that I had quite a small kind of pool of friends, if you like. I think I
Yeah.
really only had kind of one friend really at school. So going to college and then meeting, other people and expanding my horizons a little bit was actually really, I've got really fond memories of college actually. And of course I was making stuff all the time. So we were doing woodwork, glasswork, we were doing charcoal, paint, pencil, all of the drawing stuff. So I actually had some really fond memories of school and education. And then when I finished college, everyone was looking at going at university, but I just didn't like the thought of going away. I think at that point I still had some kind of concerns, I think, about with what was going on at home. I'd be quite nervous to leave my mum because there was domestic violence as well. I didn't enjoy being away for that long. I always kind of wanted to um, be close in case I was needed. So I
Yeah.
didn't go to uni. And a friend of mine at the time was working at a local company selling hot tubs. And he
Okay.
said, "Oh, you should come work here." So that was actually my first proper job. But just before that, I actually worked for the White Link for a little while. So I used to work
Okay.
on the ferry and go backwards and forwards to Fishbourne and on the car ferry and work in the little shop. But yeah, I went straight into employment basically after college because I moved out at 19. I couldn't be at home anymore. It was too stressful. And I just needed money, and I didn't really understand university. Like there probably was funding that I could have maybe got to go, but the thought of
Yeah.
staying in education didn't really do it for me, and I wanted to kind of get out there and earn some money really. So I kind of just got a 9 to 5 cold calling job basically. That was my first proper job.
Cool. So you've already been a grafter then.
Yeah. And it was literally like 8 hours a day making 20 calls every single hour cold.
It's hard
And I
work,
did
isn't
that
it?
for a long time. Yeah, it was a lot and it was really hard.
So you spoke about growing up in that, and like you said, you've had some really challenging experiences at home, and what do you felt kept you on, I guess that straight and narrow, so to speak, or didn't, because a lot of people, or can do, a lot of young people going through that will find other ways to cope and stuff like that. But you seemed like you carried on with college and, and then working. What do you think was, sometimes they say it's someone significant, or what do you think kept you sort of driven, I guess?
Yeah. I think I had so whilst there were some kind of challenges, I think my nan and my mum had been really hard workers. And I also wanted nice things. Um, so I knew that I needed to go to work. I didn't like the idea of going to work. And I actually was thinking about this the other day. I remember seeing the job advertised and it was £12,000 a year. And I remember thinking, £1,000 a month, that's amazing. Like, and now it's
Yeah,
just
mate.
hilarious. It's literally like £12,000 a year. I had no idea about tax and national insurance and all of
Yeah.
that. But it kind of happened by accident, really. And what it was that the company that I'd gone into, whilst it was a cold call company and it was a call center, the two guys that owned it were actually really good role models. And when I went in and started to be around people that had nice cars, nice clothes, they were very goal driven. And so I think it was role models, actually, because when I went in, I had no idea kind of what to expect. And I didn't really understand what I wanted or anything like that. I mean, the world was pretty crazy at that point for me. But yeah, seeing them and they kind of did a lot of sessions where they spoke about how it is important to have like work hard, play hard mentality. And so they would do quite a lot of sessions with you where they'd be like, right, have a think about what is it you want? Like, do you want to have your own flat? Do you want to own your own house one day? Do you want to drive a nice car? And I'd never really considered those things. So being around people that had achieved really good things that were like me, that had come from really humble kind of backgrounds, made me go, I want that, and I want those things. And I think that's kind of what started it. So they started to kind of teach me to track and plan. And so then I started saving and I started learning to drive. So I think it was the role models, actually, that were I was very lucky very quickly to get the right role models. And I think I was also, for all the challenges that I did have, I was also quite a smart kid in that I knew that wasn't, that some of the things that I was seeing, I knew that wasn't the life that I wanted. And I wanted more. And I kind of knew that there was something, but definitely role models, I think, were the thing that kind of made me see that there was more to it.
Yeah. Brilliant. And so you spoke about like working on the ferry and the sales job, and then sort of what come after that? Talk me through how you got to where you got to. Jodie Goodchild,
Yeah,
LinkedIn
so I
first
actually
was.
stayed at that company for 13 years,
Oh wow.
13 years I stayed there. So I went in and I can genuinely remember it like it was yesterday. I was so unconfident, and the thought of speaking on a telephone in front of people just petrified me. But I thought, well, I've got to do this because I need a job. And I got in, and I remember the first call that I made, I was really slumped in my chair and I was almost like whispering, like, hello, my name's Jodie and I'm calling from. But strangely, I took to it like a duck to water, and I was really good at it. And that was kind of the point where I realised that I was really good at I was a bit like a sponge, because I would see somebody doing something and I'd be like, right, I'm going to watch them and learn. And then from that, I'm going to do that, but I'm going to try and do it even better. So I had a lot of progression with that company. So from being a cold caller, I then got offered a team, and it was a team that were kind of seen in the company as a team that were not great. Went in and kind of had my first taste of what it was like to be a leader, like rolled up my sleeves, showed them what I did and how I did it. And that team went from being the team that everyone said were rubbish to the top team in the company. And it was brilliant and we loved it. And so I did that for a while, was a really good team manager. And then I started to learn what my operations manager was doing, who was like the ops director. And then when she got promoted, I stepped into her shoes and took on the operations department. And then a short while after that, I moved into our enterprise department, and then I oversaw like the largest account in the company. And I think there was about 70 telemarketers, 6 managers. So it was a real big responsibility. But the company, for its faults, and a lot of people know it was really difficult to work there because it was really work hard mentality. Like, you were at your desk at 7:30. Some nights you wouldn't leave till 7:30. But it taught me so much, and particularly sales. It was all retention sales that I did. And then when I was working there, I started to feel like I was a bit stagnant, and I always liked to learn, but I didn't feel like I was learning anything. And I felt like every day was a bit like Groundhog Day. There was no new learning for me. And I wanted to move on, but it was really scary because that was all I knew, was that company. And I thought, well, I've worked my way up here. If I leave, is anyone going to take me seriously? Or are they going to say, well, you've got no GCSEs, no qualifications. You've basically been a cold caller and they've trusted you to do this thing. So I had quite a lot of self-doubt. But literally just before COVID, I decided to go. So I handed my notice in, and I actually went and worked for the guys that had owned that company. They'd started another company after that, and spoke to them and said, look, guys, I don't know what to do. Like, I want to leave, but I don't know. And they kind of said, well, we'd be silly to not have a conversation with you. And anyway, I went and worked with them. But as I got there, COVID hit. And they'd headhunted me to start and to do all their new business stuff. But COVID had hit and no one was answering the phone. So all of the traditional stuff that I didn't work anymore. So I had to really kind of try and navigate like how to get new business opportunities without being able to cold call, which is kind of the first kind of time I'd really taken LinkedIn seriously. Fast forward to, I think it was August 2022. I'd just bought this house that I live in now, and I had some money left over that I was going to use to do the house up. But I thought, do you know what? With COVID happening, if I was to kind of be checking out of this life and going to whatever happens next, am I going to be happy? And did I try everything? And the answer to that was no. And I thought, do you know what? I'm going to give this a go. I'm going to try doing my own consultancy. There was no purpose, I didn't feel, in what I was doing. I had the salary. I never had to look at my bank account, which, don't get me wrong, being self-employed now, I do miss that part. But I knew I had to do it, and I knew that I wanted more purpose in life. So I left. And by the November, I had my first client retainer. And that was 4 years ago now. So it was a massive leap of faith, and it's been a huge learning curve. But I wouldn't change it for the world now, because I've switched up kind of the way that my world worked. I was so focused on money. You know, how much money can I make? How many sales can I get in? How much money? It actually exhausted me. And I wanted to flip that, and I wanted to focus on purpose. So when I started my business, I was like, right, I want to feel like I'm making an impact, and I want to feel purpose. I don't care about the money. The purpose part is what's going to, fill my heart. And that's what I started doing. I started saying to businesses, like, look, if you're struggling with your sales and marketing, let me come and do like a new business MOT for you. Like, I'll lift the bonnet up on your sales function and see what I can see from my 20 years experience. I'll give you some tweaks and almost like an MOT report to go, right, if you do these things, your car's going to go 30 miles per hour faster to get you to where you want to go quicker. And it all took off. And yeah, that was like 4 years ago, which is crazy.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
seems like yesterday.
Yeah, no, brilliant. And you along that journey, I know you've won some awards as well. Entrepreneur of the
Yeah,
Year 2025.
that's that
Where's
little one.
where is it? Oh yeah, behind
Just
you. Yeah,
behind me. So that's my Entrepreneur of the Year 2025. This one was Community Business of the Year last year, and then this little one that you can't see was my Shaping Portsmouth Business of the Year 2025.
Excellent, yeah.
So last year was just and do you know what? If I can go back to that girl that was growing up in Lee Park, if somebody had said to her she would have achieved half of these things, I would just not have believed it. I would have been like,
Yeah.
absolutely not. And people just think that I'm super confident, but I've had to just learn to push through like all of that self-doubt. And people don't believe me when I say I'm not actually a confident person. I kind of have to almost it's almost like playing a bit of a character really in my own mind.
acting.
That I'm like, right,
Yeah,
come on,
yeah.
talk on a stage. And then, in my personal life, I'm actually a little quiet little mouse. And I'm really unconfident, which people think is really funny. But it was last year, it was an amazing year. And this year has been like, again, I'm doing some things like I've just finished one part of a project for Barclays, which is crazy.
Oh, wow.
And
Brilliant, yeah.
doing some more work with them again. I've got some work booked in with them again next month. And just little old Jodie that grew up in Lee Park, like, is running this business that's doing really well and is working with brands like Barclays. It still blows my mind. It feels like I am literally living a dream that I once had that I thought I would never be able to do, because I kept telling myself, no, you can't do that. And then when I backed myself and believed in myself, and I was like, no, you can. And a lot of that came from coming out, because I never thought I would ever be able to come out, ever. And when I did that and it was okay, I was like, God, if I can do that, imagine what else I can do. I think I can actually do anything else. So whether I have something challenging out, I've got this tattoo actually, courage over comfort, on my arm, because now I'm always like, there's no such thing for me as can't. I won't let myself say it. I'll say it and I'll go, I can't do that. But then I'll slap myself and go, you can. And then I'll do something and then I'll do it like I might not get it right the first time, but like the second time I do it, I'll do it. So yeah, I literally live by this courage over comfort
Love
all the
that.
time now.
Courage over comfort. Brilliant.
Yeah.
So what, actually, you touched on it. So you spoke about coming out, and I guess, that must be really difficult living your life with all these mixed feelings and unknowns, and growing up.
Yeah.
And so, when did you come out, and how did that happen? What was?
Yeah. So I came out at 19, but I knew from like really young, I just knew that I didn't fit the like traditional mold. Like I really struggled with that because back then, um, there were legislations in place where it wasn't even allowed to be spoken about at school. So, and there was nothing, there was no education at all. So I honestly thought that I was mental. And I thought if I ever spoke that out loud, a white van's going to turn up and I'm going to be chucked in the back, never to be seen again. So it was really scary. But it just got to a point where what happened was I had a couple of friends that I'd made that lived near me, and one of them confided in me that he'd actually come out as gay, and it was almost like the first time of being like, well, what does that actually mean? Like, can we have a conversation about that? And when we spoke about it, I was like, I think that's me. Like, I think that, and he
Mm,
kind of took me under his wing a little bit and kind of took me out. And I don't know if you'd remember it, or anyone that's watching or listening, but there was a nightclub in Commercial Road called Martha's,
that's right. Yeah,
and it
yeah,
was
yeah.
and it was a gay nightclub, and he took me in there, and I almost was like, what? Like, it just like blew my mind because I thought I was just the only person that had these feelings and that I was like sick. And actually, no, like this is very normal. And actually, there's all these people here that feel the same way. And it was quite challenging then because I had to then, at 19, I was nearly 20. I almost had to go through what most people go through when they're like 12, 13, because I never had that. So I had to go through
Mm,
like trying to do that. And what I've actually done now so as you know, I've just turned 40, and I've actually spent the last 20 years unpicking, trying to work out who I actually am because of all of that. And it's only now, genuinely, that I feel comfortable and feel like I know who I am and what I'm about, and I feel comfortable with that because actually carrying the guilt of not becomes heavier than actually speaking it. And I'm very lucky that I've been accepted and I haven't had too many things happen to me. But coming out is something that actually happens to you every single week. It's not a one-time thing, and people think
yeah,
it
yeah,
happens once and it's done. But every single week there's something, whether it's going to the doctors and them saying, oh well, can we just ask, are you pregnant? And you're like, no. And they're like, well, how do you know? And you're like, well, you know come on, like let's be honest for a second. So it's just an ongoing thing, and it's an ongoing weight that you carry. And
yeah,
yeah, it was a long journey, and it's a difficult one. But like I say, it's taken me 20 years really to try and unpick the fact that I hid myself for so long, and I've still got some of that stuff that creeps in now, which is where my un- unconfident part comes from, is that I've still got some of that trauma from hiding and not feeling like I could fully be
yeah.
myself. That it's taken me so long to kind of unpick it, to be comfortable, to now actually just authentically live as me. But now I've got to my 40s, I'm like, I literally don't care if somebody doesn't accept me or they've got an opinion. It's fine. I appreciate
Yeah,
it. Might not be for everyone, but I've got to live my life for me, not for everyone else. So now I'll just kind of, be out proud and get on with it, which is why I also like supporting Portsmouth Pride when I can. So I
yeah,
did
yeah.
some work with them voluntarily for free for, I think, like a year or so, and helped I think I raised about 12.5 grand for them through like
Oh wow, brilliant.
sponsorships.
Yeah,
But that was really important to me, and I'll try and do as much as I can for like the queer community, because I think there's a lot of shame in people that aren't maybe at that point of coming out, and the fact that I won that Entrepreneur of the Year award, something so
yeah,
small, just meant so much to me, because a lot of queer people just think that they can't they think there's no life on the other side of coming out, let alone success.
yeah, yeah,
Which is why I talk about it so openly all the time, because if I can just reach one young person or even an older person that sat there and thinks, I can't do it, and they look at me and go, hang on a minute, she's gone through all of this, she's come out and actually she's been successful after it and she's being herself, then that's a
yeah.
win, isn't it? So yeah.
100%. No, I really appreciate you sharing that. That's I can't even imagine. Like, I can't even imagine like you growing up, and like you say, it wasn't even talked about. That it's like it just
Yeah.
blows my mind, And it's, and like you say, like I guess you don't. you're still on that journey all the time, even though you accepted. Like it's like you still explain yourself. It
Yeah,
must be
and you still
really
have to live with
challenging.
the hate. Like, I've literally just deleted Facebook as an example because Portsmouth Pride are doing their community festival in the Guildhall in October, and I went on the comments section on Facebook, and it was just horrendous. People talking about, just saying things that are just absolutely disgusting. And I just ended up deleting Facebook because sometimes it's not necessarily the right thing to do, but it really affects your mental health. When you know that people in your own city are saying that you're disgusting and that they're going to be avoiding the area because you're going to be there, it just does really grind on your mental health. So I just thought, do you know what? I've just gone through Pride Month and been reading all these comments as well. I'm just going to delete Facebook for a little bit so I don't have to read it. But it does really,
Oh no,
genuinely great. There's always something happening.
it's
Like
crazy,
the
isn't it?
tweets. I don't know if you'd even be aware of this, but on the 5th of August, they've
Yeah,
changed the laws now that mean that anyone can tell somebody that they don't feel like they're in the right toilet and ask them to leave. And it's crazy. And especially as a, girl that's just cut my hair short, like I genuinely am going into female toilets now, almost like thinking, oh God, is someone going to look at me and say, hang on a minute, are you in the wrong? And it's just, there's still
I
a
know.
long way to go. We've made some really good progress. And, on one hand, it's great now that we've got all this education online. But on the other hand, it's still really scary because of things like that. And I've got trans
Yeah,
friends. You would never know if you saw them walking down the street that they used to be a woman, yet people want them. And it's just,
I know.
crazy.
It is crazy, and like you say, online, the stuff on social media is disgusting. Like, and I think, although sometimes there's a sense of, we're so accepting now, like us as a country and a city, but actually, like the racism still, it's just disgusting online what people encounter.
Yeah.
Just it blows my mind sometimes. What people you
Yeah.
think, oh my God, have you just really written that? It's like
Yeah, I know. It's,
crazy,
like
yeah.
yeah, it's horrendous, isn't it?
So talk to me a little bit about what you do now then. I'm just going to put a plug in. I know some of my laptop battery's going, so bear with me, but two
I'll
seconds.
chat away while I do that. So what I do now, so there's two sides to Known For. The one side is that I run a community. So I have about 120 businesses in an online platform community, and we do various things monthly. So we do online networking, in-person networking. We have a guest speaker come in every month to talk about a topic that's going to help. So like this month, we have an Instagram for business, for example, and then I run a workshop every month, always on visibility and helping those people step into their Known For and not feel like they need to be anyone other than themselves to be successful in business, because there is a lot of that pressure to be corporate, but the world has completely changed, and we don't want that anymore. People want human. Think about podcasts, for example, like this now. Like this would have been unheard of years ago, sharing all of the details that we've gone into on a business and charity podcast, but we do it because we've gone so far down the robotic route that the human stuff is what is really sticking out. And then the other side is workshops like I come in and did with you guys. So I spend pretty much half a day with a business or a charity, demystifying LinkedIn, helping people understand why it's good for the employees and good for the employer, and then how we can use it for both, to help attract opportunities for sponsorship or new business, and how to grow basically, and how to open up the window into your world. So like for charities, rather than saying like, please, can you sponsor us? It's opening the window and saying, look, we've just had this absolutely amazing thing happening behind the scenes and we're so chuffed. I went into Abby's Heroes recently and they had toys and teddies and all sorts all over the floor. And they were like, excuse this mess. And I was like, take a picture of this immediately and post it on LinkedIn. This is amazing. Like, you want to show people like all the sorting you're doing. It turns out they were doing that because they make these boxes for kids that are told they've got cancer in Southampton Hospital, and they give them a box when they find out there's got like a phone charger, a teddy, like clean socks, Netflix vouchers.
Wow.
So it's about getting people to show the human side of their business rather than saying, we've got this product you might want, we've got this service. It's taking all of those amazing people that are doing all of these amazing things and showing the world all of that good stuff that's going on, so that people know you for what you do, you become known for what you do, so that when somebody's got an opportunity, they go, we want to do that. We want to help you with that. We want to sponsor you. And it works so well for charities because, you know, unless you're a charity that's got a good exposure, like think about you guys and like Becky from Spark. I talk about Becky as an example all the time. People are like, gosh, she gets so many opportunities. And I'm like, because she is everywhere and she's showing the impact of what Spark is doing, same as what you guys do. So that's basically what I do now is I help people really step into what they're known for so that people will mention them. When someone says, does somebody know somebody known for this? Yes, I know this person. You can trust them. They're the person you speak to. So that's kind of how we do things now.
Definitely. So if people want to look you up or sort of your services, what's your website? Where do they contact you?
www.knownfor.co.uk, or you can find me, Jodie Goodchild, just on LinkedIn. But the website's probably the best place because it's got loads of downloadable resources, information about my team training, and everything is in one place on there.
Definitely. And like I said, we've used you, and you're brilliant. Like your knowledge, but also you're so adaptable. You're so passionate. You're so friendly. I think that was what helps the training as well. You just got on
We did have a
everyone's
really good
level and
day,
get
didn't we,
involved.
actually?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I had so many nice messages from your team, and actually, even to this day, like I think Wayne alone has sent me about 3 referrals of people after, which I genuinely really love. So yeah, it was brilliant, and it was just great to come in and help you really understand how we can show more of the great stuff that you're doing to get that out there to people.
Brilliant. Thanks, Jodie. So what's your why? What gets you out of bed in the morning doing what you do?
Good question. Do you know what my favourite word, and some people hate it, but it is authenticity. And I think living authentically is what gets me out of bed every day because I'm so passionate about doing it and how I've done it for myself that I want to help other people feel like they can just be themselves and understand that they don't need to be anyone other than who they are to impress anyone. And if they're feeling like they have to impress people, then they're doing something wrong. So yeah, I think it's that and the purpose and the impact. Like when I meet somebody for the first time and they feel like, you know, there's one lady, I won't mention her name, but she came to me and she was just really struggling and felt like she couldn't be herself. And she was really struggling in her business. And the minute that she dropped this kind of performance that she was doing and started to be herself, she's had so much new business come in. And she's like, this is crazy. And it's the purpose of the impact that I can have on charities and businesses, on helping them show all of the amazing stuff that they think that they can't really show and they shouldn't show because they should be doing this thing that the world is telling them to do. So yeah, I think it's authenticity, definitely.
Yeah, I love that authenticity. Absolutely. And what would you say is your core values? You know, like if you was, actually, I've not said it for a little while. If you was a stick of rock you used to get as a kid, you split it in half and you'd have the words running through it. What if we were to split you in half, Jodie? What's your core values that run through you?
Yeah, I think I would say authenticity, obviously, growth, compassion, and courage. They're probably the key things that I live by. I think the biggest one is that authenticity because the version of me that shows up everywhere in my life is the same version of me that I am. You know, I will get on stage and like mask a bit of confidence, but ultimately that's still me. So yeah, and I think everything I do is ruled by courage as well. Having, you know, there's so many things that we don't necessarily want to do, but that courage over comfort thing is hence why I got it tattooed on me because I genuinely live my life by that. I think, you know, when you do something that scares you, personally, nothing bad has ever happened when I've done that. In fact, the world has just opened up even more opportunities when I've done it. So yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And you've got that, you can just look down if you're feeling a bit down. Go,
Yeah.
oh, right, yeah. I
I've
love
also
that.
got this one that says, your future is watching.
I love it.
Which I like as well because it just reminds me like not to get too stagnant. And I look at it and I'm like, yeah, come on, you're working towards my kind of personal goals that I've got as well. So yeah.
Brilliant. Love it. So last question I've got for you is, you know, we speak about just how challenging life can be and, you know, your mental health and well-being. What do you do for your own well-being or what would you recommend to people?
Good question. So typically I've had a couple of new tattoos, so I haven't been able to do it. But normally, as you know, on a Friday morning, I will meet a little group of us that go down to the sea and we just do a sea dip on a Friday, which has become a bit of a tradition that I absolutely love because as you know, the feeling it gives you after is just it's just such a buzz. But alongside that, I've not been as great as I should be recently, but just making sure I take time to do stuff for me, because running a business, you can run constantly, even for you as a managing director of a charity, like you can just be on constantly. And I've just taken 2 weeks off for my 40th and
Oh,
actually
cool.
relaxed.
Yeah.
And it's made me go, you need to do that more often. So yeah, I think making sure that you're not just getting too lost in the shuffle of work and taking
Yeah. Yeah.
time off to like just do nice things. Like even if it's like the other morning I took the dog down to the beach and I just sat on the beach for like half an hour in the quiet, just stuff like that. So yeah,
Yeah.
not overworking, remembering that we're here to live, not work.
Love that. Yeah. Love that. Live here to live and not work. Yeah, definitely. 100%.
We get it
Well,
wrong, and
thank
I
you.
did when I was
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
sales. What I did, I was literally living to make money, and then I had no time to spend that money, and it was just ridiculous. And I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
if my time comes up, and this, you only get one life. So that's why another reason why I started the business, because I wanted more time to enjoy life rather than just working constantly. And I do try and take it easy now. So like, I didn't even start work today until like probably 10:30. Which is nice, because before I would
Yeah.
have been at my desk at the amount of years, well, probably 15 years, I started work every day at probably 7:45 in the morning,
I know.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
crazy. And probably some days work till 7, 8. Some days I would work till 9, 10.
Yeah. 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 No,
Yeah.
definitely. You got to take time for yourself. 100%. Well, Jodie, thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure.
No,
It's
thanks
really
for
good
having me.
to catch up. And I appreciate you sharing and being open about, some of your personal stuff as well. So thank you very much. Again, what's your website? It's www.
Known4.co.uk.
Cool. And yeah, thanks again. And we'll probably see you again on a seed dip.
Yeah. Yeah, in a couple of weeks.
Cool. Thanks, Jodie. I appreciate that. Take care.
Thank you.